Michelle could not remember. The boys were smoking yarndi or marijuana, while the girls were drinking passion pop. When the couple arrived, James handed them a stubby, but Michelle's boyfriend spat it out and told him, "That's not beer." It smelled like bourbon, Michelle thought. For Muriel, the story got more confusing. The party was at the home of Fred Buchanan, who was Colleen's cousin. Fred later remembered that he'd been drinking all day in the house, sitting in his bedroom with the other blokes, before crashing out at about 8 p.m. Colleen had come late to the party and hadn't stayed there. She was wearing a white jumper with a blue and red band and light blue jeans cut short to the knee, Fred remembered. Fred said Colleen had walked into the bedroom, holding a bottle of passion pop and talking about catching the train to Gaduga in the morning. Gaduga was out west, more than a day's journey from Bowraville via Sydney. After the party, he heard that a white Holden Commodore had come along outside, and someone from inside had called out, "Uncle George, where are you going?" It sounded like it had been Colleen talking, someone told him, though Fred didn't see or hear it for himself. He blacked out and woke up something like 12 hours later, long after the early morning train for Gaduga had gone. Martin George Greenup was drinking in the lounge room at the party with James Hyde, who was the only white man among the crowd of blackfellas, and remembered that he overheard James saying, "Come on, babe, Colleen, I want to see you tonight." Colleen got upset, walked outside the house and sat on the front step. She was a pretty girl with dark, curling hair and an easy smile. She looked like her mother, Muriel. Sometime around 2 or 3 in the morning, after the other boys had finished drinking and crashed out, Martin said that he had left the party and seen a white Commodore parked outside up the road, facing towards the cemetery. Colleen, who was in the front seat, waved and sung out, "See you later, Uncle Martin." "See you later, Col," he told her. Or maybe Colleen was sitting in the back seat and yelled out, "How you going, Uncle George?" It was hard to remember. Anyway, as he was walking away from the party, the Commodore drove past him, heading into Bowraville. Muriel kept searching for her daughter, trying to make sense of all these different versions. But what people were saying wasn't straightforward, or it changed with each telling, or what one person said was contradicted by another. One of Colleen's cousins said he'd seen her 2 days after the party, talking about the footy knockout tournament she was due to go to. Kelly Jarrett, whose birthday party it had been that night, told Muriel that she last saw Colleen outside the party. The two of them had gone over to Fred's house and stayed there drinking. At about 11:30 p.m, Colleen had come over to where Kelly was standing by the fire, but after that she hadn't seen her. As the weather got hotter ahead of the coming summer, Muriel found that her suspicions worsened. She was a proud lady, defiant you might call her. She'd grown up on the mission, and many of the people living there were family. But it seemed they could not, or they would not, tell her what happened to her daughter. Their versions were all different. They couldn't all be true. The last time that her mother saw her, Colleen had given her a kiss and said, "Mum, I'll see you Sunday." That was on the Monday, the 10th of September. Muriel had not worried about letting her daughter travel down to Bowraville. Colleen would do what she wanted. A few months earlier in March, she'd got sick of school and left it behind her. Yes, Colleen drank a bit and smoked a little yarndi, but she'd been to Bowraville before, staying there with family, and she'd also spent time living in Maxville, the next town down the river. But each time she went away, when Colleen asked her, Muriel had picked her up and they'd gone home together to Sawtell. After school or at the weekends, Muriel's other children went out with her around Bowraville looking for their sister. They didn't fully understand her absence. The youngest, Lucas, who was only 8 or thereabouts, watched his mum running around and saw that she was panicking and hurt. But they were only children. Lucas felt guilty there was nothing they could do. The days turned into weeks, and Muriel's suspicion expanded. If no one was telling her what really happened to her daughter,